Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. Election Commission of India late evening yesterday around 10:30 ordered repolling across all polling booths in West Bengal's Falta Assembly constituency after flagging severe electoral offences and subversion of the democratic process during voting held on April 29th. Now, in its directive, the poll body said irregularities were reported across a large number of polling stations, prompting the decision to nullify the earlier exercise and conduct fresh polling in all booths. Now, I want to show you the tweet which was put out by ANI late evening. And if you look at this tweet carefully, this says that the Election Commission ordered repolling in all 285 polling stations, including auxiliary polling stations in Falta Assembly constituency of West Bengal. The commission mentioned that there have been severe electoral offences and subversion of the democratic process during the polling in a large number of polling stations in the Falta Assembly constituency on Wednesday. A fresh poll will be held in all polling stations on May 21st. That is, the repoll will happen on May 21st from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and the counting of votes in the Falta constituency will take place on 24th May, which means that tomorrow, out of 294 constituencies, the votes will be counted for 293 constituencies, leaving out Falta. Now, Falta repoll, what does this mean? And we did hear people saying that they were intimidated, but during the second phase of polling, that is on 29th April, were there reports of any violence? Were there any reports which could have led to a repoll now? So we'll try and understand that what repoll in Falta actually means. We'll go across to Professor Debashish Chakrabarti, political analyst and academician. Thank you so much for joining, sir. We have Sameer Purkaisa, Northeast editor from TheFederal. Thank you so much, Sameer, for joining. And let me begin with Professor Debashish Chakrabarti. Professor Chakrabarti, how do you make of this repoll? Now, was this expected? Because there were reports during the daytime, there were videos of people saying that they were intimidated by the TMC. Because I saw a couple of videos where certain women were saying that they were intimidated by the TMC people. Now, how far is that true? And what would you say to this repoll exercise in Falta?
Well, this decision by the Election Commission is unprecedented. If there were such reports of poll violence, they should have ordered it within 48 hours. But it seems the Election Commission is working according to a script drafted in New Delhi, because once the Election Commission has declared 21st repoll of Falta, immediately Amit Malabho has tweeted that the Diamond Harbour model of Abhishek Banerjee is going to be destroyed. Now, what does it mean? It means...
No, in fact, you're talking about this tweet. Bharani, if you're there backstage, let's play that out for the viewers. Now, this is what Amit Malviya first wrote. This is 15 hours ago. He wrote, Diamond Harbour model crumbles. And then, to which Abhishek Banerjee replies that 10 lifetimes won't be enough for your Bangla, Birodhi, Gujarati gang and their stooge Gyanesh Kumar to put even a dent in my Diamond Harbour model. Bring everything you have got. I challenge the entire Union of India. Come to Falta. Send your strongest. Send one of the godfathers from Delhi. If you have got the nerve, contest in Falta. Yes, sir, Professor Debashish.
Yes, I was mentioning about this tweet of Amit Malabho. Whatever Abhishek Banerjee has tweeted, it is of course extreme in a democratic system. But then the Election Commission's decision, they could have taken it within 48 hours and it could have been done simultaneously. But what happened? They have delayed their decision too much, and it is unprecedented that elections will be counted except one constituency. This has never happened. I doubt whether it has happened in India at all. That is my question, that why these things has to happen. Cannot Election Commission take decision by their own? Do they have to wait for the instruction from above? And who is instructing them? And who is abiding by their decision? This is quite clear. I can refer to it that during SIR things happening, the opposition leader Shubhendu said there will be 1 crore deletion, and ultimately 90 lakhs were deleted. What is happening? Is the election commission working according to a script drafted in New Delhi? If that is the case, this is the saddest day and black day of democracy, that election commission cannot take decision by themselves. It is not an autonomous organization. I doubt whether election commission is an autonomous organization. It has converted itself into a political stooge and a political agent of BJP. This is exactly not acceptable. You have to work as an independent commission. It has never happened during other election commissioners' office. And I think the present election commissioner will be remembered as the worst election commissioner in India. That's why the opposition is time and again raising their voice against Ganesh Kumar. If Ganesh Kumar has to serve BJP, he could have served in another capacity, not as the election commissioner of India. And you know how the position of election commissioner to election or selection has been changed by the present Modi government. They have violated the procedures, and now everything can be stage managed. Whoever BJP thinks they can be appointed as election commissioner. So I doubt the independence, I doubt the neutrality of election commission, and I don't accept this decision. They are doing it because they are election commission's decisions, but West Bengal people will not accept it nicely. This is my point of view.
All right. Now let me come to Samir. Now, Samir, I want to understand what all has actually led to the repoll in Falta. What election commission's tweet very categorically says that there was a subversion of democracy. There was a subversion of the electoral process. What are the kind of reports which you have heard? And when the second phase of polling was happening on 29th of April, was it a peaceful polling? What were the reports which were coming from Falta itself?
See, during the poll process itself, the report started coming that there were tampering with the EVM and all those things. Even apparently, it was brought to the notice of the presiding officer in the afternoon. By that time, 58% of polling had happened. My point, as Professor Chakrabarti pointed out, rightly so, that my point is that when you noticed all these irregularities, why didn't you stop election at that point of time? Why did you waste people's time? That is, why did you allow election to continue till, in some of these booths, polling happened till 7 p.m. So, you have to respect people's time also. People were queuing up for when you know that there was irregularities and this election will be this thing rejected. There will be repoll. Then why did you allow rest of the people to go queue on the line and vote? That is my point. Now you see what are the points, what are the issues election commission flagged. They say there were EVM tampering. Okay, if there were EVM tampering, this is not that it happened after election. So this was one issue they could have flagged right there during the election process. Then there were allegations of unauthorized presence inside the booth. So if there was unauthorized presence inside the booth, that was also supposed to be detected during the election process itself. Why did you wait? Then and then a election this observers team went to Diamond Harbour, Falta, Magrahat to verify the allegations. Then after that they ordered repolling in certain booths in Diamond Harbour and Magrahat. My point is that why didn't you order repoll at that very day in Falta? Now, by by deferring Falta elections after counting day, you have made this constituency very irrelevant, because after counting, after results are announced, after when people will come to know who has won and who has lost, these results will influence the outcome of Falta's election in Falta. So so indirectly, election commission has made the mandate of the people very irrelevant now, because it will become very irrelevant. The mandate of the people of Falta will become irrelevant. So the election commission should have taken into consideration all these aspects, and they should have announced repoll before counting, not after counting. This is, as Professor Devasis Chakraborty pointed out, it's unprecedented. So,
Right.
and then I also want to highlight this. From right from the beginning, there were this lots of talk about Diamond Harbor model and all these things. So the assembly constituencies that falls under Diamond Harbor parliamentary constituency were under scanner from very beginning, and a police officer was parachuted from Uttar Pradesh as a observer to oversee that nothing, no irregularities take place in Diamond Harbor. But unfortunately, the said officer Ajay Pal Sharma, he was busy playing to the gallery, and photo ops, looking for photo ops and optics. So these this has unfortunately, this has become a pattern in India, where not only police officials or other government officials, even the top leaders are more busy in photo ops and playing to the galleries, doing optics, rather than doing their job properly. Had Mr. Sharma did his job properly, this thing would not have happened. But he, instead of carrying out his job, he was busy, enhancing his so-called image of Singham or whatever. He was more busy in his image image building.
Right.
Before a particular group of people who worshipped him or lauded him for for his apparent for him being encounter specialist, which I don't know whether it's a really credit or discredit to be an encounter specialist for an police officer. But these days, even if people break laws, they are held, and a particular group of people, for him for whom he is almost like a superhero. So, and he was busy here building up on that image, instead of doing his job properly. He should be held accountable, responsible for this mass. In if at all this kind of thing had happened in Falta, then who is responsible? This man is responsible, and he should be held accountable.
Right. Okay, let me come to Professor Debashish. I was reading one of the tweets by Sakit Gokhale, and he very categorically in his tweet has said that this repoll is happening because BJP saw that they were losing the elections, and which is why a repoll has been ordered. Now, how far do you agree with this assumption, or the tweet which has been written out by Sakit Gokhale? How would you see that, sir?
The issue is losing or winning is next. The point is, once the election verdict is out, how can you hold election to another constituency? This is absolutely unconstitutional. How come election commission can conduct this kind of things, and why this is not being challenged? That after the declaration of result, there is a poll in the one constituency. It has never happened in our country. There are things that they are doing, and frankly speaking, if BJP were sure of winning, they would not have done this kind of disturbance in the poll. They are not sure of their victory. That's why they are disturbing the whole poll process.
No,
And
but
then,
Professor Devashish, like you said, that how can they hold an election once the counting and all is done? It means there is going to be an unconstitutional election in Falta. So the point is that couldn't, if they ever had the intention of having a repoll in Falta, then they should have held back the counting process also. Because tomorrow, when once the results are out, how will the people of Falta decide as to which course they're going to take, for which party they're going to vote for?
That is exactly my point. That if the Falta election repoll has to take place, then the counting should have been deferred. After the repoll of Falta, the counting should have taken place. How come you are doing counting and announcing the result, and then you are asking people to vote for? This vote is a biased vote, and this is not a reflection of true democracy. That's why I say this is extremely unconstitutional, that after declaration of result, there is election of one constituency. And this has never happened in India earlier. This is happening under Ganesh Kumar's regime. That's why I
No, but
tell
do
he is
you
one
think
of.
that should be challenged? Shouldn't this be challenged in the court of
It
law?
should be challenged. It should be challenged because this is not election. This is not election. This is actually forcing people to vote for with a known result. So actually, this is not election.
No, but if
This
you
is
look at the legal wisdom, Professor Devashish, doesn't it show, if at all it is challenged, then can the counting process be put on hold for tomorrow? I mean, this is an
it.
extreme situation.
Yes, if the Supreme Court judges feel so, it should be. In my opinion, it should be. Counting should be stopped because uh, you cannot have poll of one constituency after the declaration of result. But whether the political parties will go for that, that is another issue. But my specific point is that you just cannot do this. You cannot hold. You cannot just count the election. You cannot declare the election result and then hold the election of another constituency. This is unconstitutional. Whether it will be challenged in the court or not, future will say. But in my opinion, this is unconstitutional poll, that is repoll, that is happening in Falta, and this exercise shows how incompetent Ganesh Kumar as an election commissioner. This is exactly my point.
But Samir, if I may come to you, what are you hearing from the political parties? If it is so unconstitutional, as what Professor Devashish has pointed out, how can that be allowed? And are you hearing any sort of whisper regarding going to the courts tomorrow, or all the parties are okay with the counting process on and then having a repoll again in Falta?
See, I won't call it unconstitutional. My election commission has within its this thing within its this thing within its rights to hold elections, repoll even after counting. But this is unconventional. It is unprecedented. I don't see exactly it is unconstitutional. Supposing there were death of a candidate. Then also repoll in the past, such repoll happened even after the counting. But point is here, intentionally there this deferment could have been avoided. Deferment of election after the counting could have been avoided had there been a demise of a candidate and all. Those were unforeseen. But this situation is man-made. It's created. It's election commission has created this. So this could have been avoided. That is the point. Because now, if this mandate of the electorate of Falta has will become redundant. It will become irrelevant because by the time they vote, the results are out. The outcome of outcome of this election would be known to everyone. So this entire this voting will become irrelevant, and it will not make any change in the ultimate ultimate outcome of the result. And moreover, see, there is a tendency when even in bipoll we have seen that people tend to vote for the ruling party. So by 21, by that time, probably even the government would be formed. So by the time people will vote, when there is already an elected government, whichever party may be in government, the people might vote in favor of the ruling party. So this the voting there would also be influenced by tomorrow's results. So that is my contention.
No, but about the
So
unconstitutionality,
as I said,
what are you
as I
here to
said,
comment on that?
no,
Sorry?
no political parties no political parties are not saying that they will go to the this thing court challenging per se, asking for the this thing stay on counting process. No,
No, but
that's
have you
not
spoken to
happening.
any of the experts? What Devashish is pointing out that after the counting process, having an election as a
Even
repoll.
in future, even in the past, after counting, bypoll had happened. Or this thing, election results had to be countermanded because candidates died. Those kind of scenario had taken place even in the past. But here what is unconventional here is the election. It's not unforeseen. It could have been avoided. This kind of scenario could have been avoided. But here election commission deliberately, instead of holding elections before the results, they deliberately waited. They had enough time because yesterday they conducted repoll in Magrahat and Diamond Harbour. So along with Magrahat and Diamond Harbour booths, they could have 280 plus booths in Falta. They could have hold repoll. But instead of doing that, it's very unconventional for election commission to push the repoll after counting. That is unconventional. I won't call it unconstitutional, because election commission has within its rights under the representative people's representation act to hold election even after the counting. But in past, such scenario happened only when in case of sudden this thing space unforeseen circumstances, like as I said, demise of a candidate or scenario like that. But not and not for something which happened during the polling day. It's not even during the this thing. Had it been tampering of EVMs inside the strong room, then also I would have said okay, fine. Election commission, it had happened after the polling and they had no time. To conduct repoll before the counting. But here, these so-called irregularities happened on the polling day itself, on 29th. Then they set for 29, 30, 1st of May, 2nd of May, and at night of 2nd of May, they ordered report. They could have done it on 1st itself.
Right.
And when repoll was ordered at the Diamond Harbors and Magrahat.
Absolutely. No, these are reasons to ponder over, and I'll come to Professor Debashish now for the final comments. What would you say to this entire process of repolling in Falta? And many are saying, and in fact, many political analysts and the people working for the Vote for Democracy, they have been saying that this is just a trailer what we are seeing in Bengal. Now, this can become into a nationwide pattern also. That you would hold elections. If it doesn't suit, you get them countermanded, and then go for a repoll. Now, are there dangers lurking around these points as well?
I agree with this comment that the election can be countermanded at the sweet will of the election commission. Then what is the validity of election? It is
Yes.
extremely undemocratic. Whether it is unconstitutional or not, that should be explored by the political party, but it is extremely undemocratic, fascistic
Yes.
in my opinion. Fascistic
Yeah.
in the sense that you can hold election at your sweet will. Election is for the people, of the people, by the people. Election is not for the election commission or central government or Mamata government. Election is for the people to decide their representative government. The role of the people, you are negating the role of the people. If people cannot be danced according to the sweet will of the election commission. Election commission cannot dance according to the sweet will of the central government in power. This is my point, that if you do that, what is this election? This election is a mockery of democracy. This election is a mockery of poll. It has never happened, this kind of mockery. When a candidate dies, that is an unfortunate end, and naturally after 3, 4, 5, 6 months, the election happens. But it has never happened that election has completed. But suddenly they declared that after 72 hours or 96 hours, they are declaring repoll. This is not only undemocratic, this is fascistic. So the political parties have to think, if this model now is followed by election commission in every state, then my point is that Indian democracy is at stake. And this is actually a trailer. This is actually the first time it has happened. This trailer will be repeated in different states if the election result does not suit the political party in power. So we should be alert. We should be very much cautious, and democratic minded people should raise their voice of protest. So this is my point, that this is not election. This is mockery of election. This is mockery of democracy that election commission is doing. Therefore, this election commission has lost its role as a neutral organization. They are working as an organization for appointed. They are for the central government, of the central government, by the central government. They are not of the people, for the people, by the people.
Well, despite this repoll in Falta, tomorrow the counting process begins. The votes will be counted. And remember, 294 seats are there in West Bengal, and now only the votes will be counted for 293, because the Falta repoll will take place on 21st May. But it's going to be a big day tomorrow, because we must not forget that it's just not Bengal. It's about Assam, it's about Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry. All these states are waiting for the results, and the people are eagerly waiting as to what is really going to happen tomorrow. So stay tuned to the Federal from the morning. We'll have our live coverages throughout the day. Thank you so much, Professor Devashish and Samir Purkasa. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.